up.
I think it should be. Alright, should be good now.
We just gotta lower that thing, the Zoom one.
Yep.
How do I do that? How do I get rid of that?
Move it over. So, minimize it. Minimize it. Hit that little minus sign, I guess.
All right. Okay, I think we're good. It's, Laura, where's the controls?
Up there.
I'm going to try with my sound muted, Robin.
Yeah, perfect. Now I can monitor this too.
Yeah.
All right, perfect.
No. Sorry. Just over. Okay. Oh, it should be good.
All right. Okay.
You go ahead and mute me on your phone.
All right. Okay, Laura. All right. Okay.
Laura, you're on mute, FYI.
I can unmute. her.
Thank you. Am I good now?
Yep, you're good. We're live streaming.
Okay. You ready, Robin?
I'm ready. Thank you.
Okay. We will open up the City of Bishop City Council meeting for Monday, April 13th, 2020. And in order to minimize the spread of COVID-19 virus and to go along with Governor Newsom's executive orders, we've closed the council chambers to public meetings. And we do, though, accept comment from the public up until 2 o'clock the day of our meeting. So anytime before 2 o'clock, we've received a couple of those. So thank you for the people that have used that to send in. Robin, can they still send in any comments during the meeting or?
Yes.
Yes, they can. Okay. So, and people can continue to send in comments as they would desire during our meeting today. Our invocation this evening will be given by Mayor Pro Tem Costello, and Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Councilmember Ellis. Wherever you are, if you would like to please stand, please.
Can I invite you to bow your heads with me as we pray? Father, I thank you that you are on the throne, as always, and this is no surprise to you. Father, thank you that so many people have, in the midst of this pandemic, or learned so many new things about getting back with family, about getting back to basics. We pray, Lord, that you would help the city in this time, Lord, of economic distress, or to have wisdom as we plan for this year's budget adjustment and for next year. And so, Father, I ask that you'd bless our council meeting and bless our city. And I ask it in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
There you go, unmuted. Please join me in Pledge of Allegiance to my little flag. Again, I pledge allegiance
Allegiance to the flag of the United States
America,
of America,
to the
and
republic
to the republic for which it stands,
under God, indivisible.
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. May we have roll call, please, Robin?
Councilmember Mahovey,
Here.
Councilmember Ellis,
Here.
Councilmember Schwartz,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Costello,
Here.
Mayor Smith.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Robin, it looks like you control the agenda on the screen.
Hmm?
You're in sole control of it because I haven't been able to. There we go. Okay, we'll move on to public comment, and we allow public comment during this time on things that are not calendared on the agenda for today's meeting. And we have received 2 email public comments, right, Robin?
Yes.
Okay. And I am not seeing them on my screen right now.
Okay. Would you like me to read them?
That would be great, please.
We're just doing my. For some reason.
Actually, Robin, I pulled them up on my phone if you want me to go ahead and read them.
Okay, great.
You're good? Okay. The first comment comes in from Jill Batchelder, and she's directed it to all the Bishop City Council members. As a resident of the city of Bishop, I appreciate the effort that went into the development, the public outreach, and approval of the short-term rental ordinance number 554. I believe it is good and fair ordinance. As a property owner within the city who lives next door to a short-term rental property that has repeatedly not followed the rules of the ordinance, I'm requesting the city enforce the terms. The property I live next to does not have the owners on site, rents camp spaces in the driveway. Renters have caught the yard on fire by discarding hot ash. Late night noise, smoking of marijuana in the yard, several people parking long term in the street, and sidewalks that are overgrown that limit ADA accessibility, and just some of the issues that I have seen and reported to the city. I am respectfully requesting enforcement of ordinance number 554, Jill Batchelder. Okay, and the second comment we've received. Second comment we've received is actually bogus because it's was directed to all the council members, but it's an advertisement for sanitation products. So, well, I shouldn't say it's exactly bogus, but it's advertisement. So I don't need to read that one, right? Wash your hands. Okay, then we will, have we received any other comments, Robin?
No further comments received.
Okay, thank you so much. And we're moving into our budget workshop at this time. We're going to, council is going to review and discuss the City of Bishop fiscal year 2019, 2020 mid-year budget and fiscal year 2020, 2021 budget projections. And I believe we're going to be moving on to our city administrator, Mr. Ron Phillips, at this time.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the council. Good way today. Jenny Roderick's been working diligently since she came on board on getting our numbers together and as straight as we can at this point. And Jenny will be making the presentation today on the mid-year budget and where we stand at this point in time as best that we know. There's still more work to be done. The 2018-19 audit is not yet complete because during that year, early in that year, the city changed over to a new financial system with Cassell. And there have been a number of adjustments that the auditors had to make as a result of that. So we're, our starting point at the beginning of this fiscal year is now as corrected as we can get it at this point, and we may have more adjustments yet to make, but we're giving the detail as best we can do it at this point in time. So Jenny, would you like to take it from here?
Yes, thank you, Ron. Good evening, City Council members and Madam Mayor. Tonight I'm leading the 2019-2020 mid-year budget workshop. 2019-2020 budget year has been an interesting one with the closing of Kmart and the ongoing coronavirus pandemic. First, our beginning balance for the budget year has not been completely determined since we are still in the middle of our fiscal year 2018-2019 audit. The projections we are presenting are best estimates based on information we have received so far. A majority of the budget item increases have been presented and approved by City Council. In response to the governor's COVID-19 stay-at-home orders, we are recommending a reduction to TOT and sales tax revenue. Due to Bishop school closures, we have laid off 26 part-time employees who operated after-school in-kind programs and school crossing guards. We are recommending further cuts to expenditures by freezing any new capital projects or capital expenditures which require any use of the general fund. We are also recommending a hiring freeze for vacant positions and a freeze on any new non-essential travel. Now let's start getting into the details. The 2019-2020 mid-year budget request is as follows. For the general fund, just under $1 million decrease in revenues with a $635 decrease in expenditures. The sewer fund, $260,000 decrease in revenue and $720,000 decrease in expenditures. The water fund, $110,000 decrease in revenues and a $495,000 decrease in expenditures. We are now on page 2 of my staff report, and we'll start going over the decreases in general revenues unless anyone has any questions. So no questions, I will continue on. The decreases to the general fund revenues are as follows. The TOT, we are reducing by $456,000. This is due to COVID-19. We are anticipating an income of $343,000 for the third quarter payments and are estimating our fourth quarter total at $194,000, which is 25% of what was received in our fourth quarter in fiscal year 18-19. Sales tax, we are reducing revenue by $322,000 due to the closing of Kmart and COVID-19. We are anticipating these decreases. We are decreasing the Caltrans RSTP pavement management line. This line was mislabeled and needs to be reduced. We are going to add additional revenue lines for the Caltrans grant with the correct revenue to be received this fiscal year. We're reducing the dock recycling grant by $5,000. The grant, we did not apply for the grant this fiscal year, but have already applied it for next. We are reducing fire inspection fees by $54,500. The program was not implemented. Our recreation programs, we have decreased by $127,000. This includes after-school programs, sports programs, and pool. And then we've reduced the city cost plan by $30,294 to remove from the Sunrise Mobile Home Park. Does anyone have any questions thus far? I will continue on. Increases to the general fund revenues are as follows. Vehicle license fee and access, $3,085. Building permits, $40,289. Reimbursement from BUSD, $1,255. Miscellaneous grant reimbursements, $2,193. Court restitution, $953. Peace officers training, $976. Strong Motion Institute program, $1,125. Insurance refunds, $24,300. Special event insurance, $218. Volleyball, $434. Facility rental fee, $1,059. Tree dedication, $94. Pool water fitness, $825. Fine and forfeitures, $1,465. This is the next line is where we're adding the Caltrans grant for $37,791. This is a cost reimbursement grant, so we would only include on the revenue what our anticipated expenditures would be. And then we are adding another line for SB2 Housing and Community Development Grant, again, a cost reimbursement grant. Are there any questions?
None for me thus far. You can keep going if you'd like, but you're muted.
Robin, did you mute me for a reason?
Oh, I'm muting myself.
Oh, okay. All right. Increases to the general fund expenses are as follows. Actually, I apologize. Oh, yes, I'm correct. Increases to the general fund expenses are as follows. City Council, we have 1,029. This is increase to training, special department supplies, miscellaneous dues, ESCOG, and subscription accounts. Administration, 70,000. This is increase to professional technical services, recruitment, insurance, IT, and capital equipment accounts. Finance, 56,000, increase to holiday payout, professional technical services, and IT accounts. Building grounds, 149, increase to advertising, printing, special department funds, and property tax accounts. IT, 4,496, increase to professional technical service accounts. Elections, an increase of 304 to professional technical service account. Police, increase 36,000 to salaries, part-time training, professional technical services, and special department supplies. Fire, 64,000, increase to following accounts, salaries, part-time recruitment, special department supplies, IT, vehicle operation, and building operations. Building, 5,000, increase to our refund account. Street maintenance, 4,582 to overtime wages, holiday payout, communications, and rental refund accounts. Parks and Recreation, 229,000. That's increase to salaries, part-time, overtime wages, communication, meeting, travel, conference, waste fees, special department supplies, and capital improvement accounts. Please note that this is where our new playground is being paid out of, but we are to be reimbursed under Grant Prop 68. So that is future money we may receive back. Planning is increased by $848, which is an increase to advertising, printing, and professional technical service accounts. Recreation programs has increased by $553. After school kind pool programs and under the office supplies, postage, professional technical services, and IT accounts. Do we have any questions so far?
You're doing great, Jenny.
So
Thank you.
yeah, Jenny, thanks. My only question with regards to this one is with regards to the administration in particular, and maybe this is a clarification that I would need from Robin and Dean. With regards to administration, there's 11,000 that's for recruitment. And I think a lot of that work was R.O. Anderson. I know some of that is actually having candidates fly out for the city administrator position. And then I know a lot of that was also R.O. Anderson's costs. What exactly did we get waived? Because this wasn't a new recruitment. They weren't supposed to charge us a lot, given that this was a replacement on their prior recruitment.
Correct. This is Robin speaking, and basically, they said it wouldn't be their entire cost. It would still have to charge for advertising costs related as well as the travel related to the applicant. So it was just under half the amount of their normal fee of like 26, 28, something like that.
Councilmember Mohovi, I've not seen those bills or breakdown. So if that's a question, then we certainly can look at that. I do know what our contract called for in terms of what they agreed to do. But this is the first I'm hearing of that bill. So if there are specific questions about that bill, then we can take a look at it. But again, this is the first I'm hearing about it. Okay, I'll send you some specific questions. Yeah, I know a lot of, because the invoice from the bill only had $4,000 for candidates, and then there was a lot for clerical and research and all of these things that I would think would have been included already. So it'd be good for you to look at the contract that we actually have.
Right, because when we made that decision to go ahead and use them again for the second out, then that was partly how we made our decision. I mean, it's going to be whatever it is, but we made that decision based on, we thought we were only going to be paying for candidates travel, basically.
That was my recollection as well. So.
Right.
Okay, just a thing to flag then.
Okay. I have a question. What is the difference between IT in the line items administration and finance, and then the line item IT? Like, how do those get separated or included?
Well, IT is a separate account.
Not just with our account with the I forget their name, the company up in Mammoth. Is that what we pay them?
That's where a majority of the expenses, are from. Would you like a detailed outline of those expenses?
Well, I just didn't know how much of it are we separating from administration and finance versus just their bulk costs.
So Karen, I think that line is actually miscoded. The IT for mid-year FY 2019-2020, I think that might actually be miscoded.
Yes, that is. I need to look into that expense and figure out where it belongs. I apologize. Thank you, Stephen.
Okay.
All right. Are there any further questions before I continue on?
Jennifer, quick question. What's the, minus the stuff that's going to be reimbursed possibly through grants, what's the net number here?
Jen, you're muted.
I didn't mute me. I said, are we looking at the increases to general fund revenue? Jim?
Yes.
Okay. $142,000.
Okay, thank you.
Great. I will continue on. Decreases to the general fund expenses are as follows. Administration, 90,000, reduction to the following counts. PERS LSUAL, it was over budgeted in the beginning of the year. Buildings and grounds, 31,000, reduction to accounts capital improvement and capital equipment. Election, $1,154, reduction to training, meeting, travel, and conference accounts. Police, 59,000, reduction to capital improvements, capital equipment, and recruitment. Fire, 298,000, reduction to salaries, full-time benefits, and capital equipment replacement. A discussion will have to be had with the joint powers agreement, which will have to take place before this budget cut is final. Building, 3,500, reduction to recruitment and special department supplies. Street maintenance, 134,000, reduction to PAR system, benefits, recruitment, training, meeting, travel, conference, and professional and technical services, special department supplies, property tax, capital equipment, and replacement and loan payment. Parks and Recreation, 7,000, professional and technical services. Planning, 185,000, reduction to meetings, travel, conference, and professional and technical services. Recreation programs, 55,000, decrease to recreation after school, kind, and pool programs under salaries, benefits, special department supplies, office supplies, postage, professional technical services, and IT accounts. Do we have any questions?
Yeah, Jen, can you hear me? This is Chris.
Yes.
So under fire, I'm guessing one of those was the new position we were going to hire. But do you have a list of things that we saved $298,000 on?
Yes, it's mainly the capital equipment replacement program. We're suggesting that we reduce that. We have, let me pull up. I'll give you exact numbers.
No, I just wanted a kind of an estimate and a brief survey of that.
Yeah, so far we have expended 54,000 on the capital equipment replacement. We had budgeted 350,000. So we're suggesting an adjustment of 256,000 on that line. As I stated, that would have to be a discussion with Joe and the joint.
Yeah, and then what about on planning, that 185,000?
Planning is, if you recall, in the revenue line, I discussed how we were reducing the Caltrans line. That line had expenses for the Caltrans grant there. But as I stated, the Caltrans grant is cost reimbursement. So we wouldn't include all that revenue and all the costs in 1 year. We would only estimate our anticipated expenses.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Any further questions? Okay,
Do we have an idea if from Joe if the rural fire district would be okay with this reduction for this year, given the extenuating circumstances?
Yeah, I don't think the rural fire protection district is going to have an issue with it. You know, the bulk of that was buying into the capital replacement program, and so 200,000 was just an initial buy-in, and then a bunch of it was supposed to move over to a purchase of a new fire engine next year, which probably won't happen. So the rural fire protection district probably won't have an issue with it, considering, but they're funded differently, so they might move forward with the purchase anyways. It'll be interesting. So.
Okay.
Okay, so the budget impacts to the general fund is we will have just under $1 million decrease in revenues with the 372,000 reduction of expenditures. The city will need to expend 1.2 million of the general fund balance to remain within budget. The approved budget for 2019-2020 was to expend 625,000 of the fund balance, but a decrease in revenue due to COVID requires additional funds. Do we have any questions before I continue on to sewer?
And like you said, we don't know the exact amount in our fund balance because the audit isn't complete, but your preliminary estimates indicate that we should have those funds.
Yes, they do. Okay. Oh, it is a conservative estimate. Okay. And we are going to move on to the sewer revenue. The sewer revenue has a reduction of 265,000. This is a very conservative estimate and unlikely reduction, but just planning for worst case scenario. And again, this is due to COVID-19. Does anybody have any questions about the decrease in sewer revenue?
Jen, what time period was this estimated out to? Is that the end of the fiscal year?
Yeah, it's just the end of the fiscal year. Again, it's me being cautious.
Is that mostly from the commercial accounts that we're not charging a full amount on?
I just did a worst case scenario and assumed what if we didn't get 1 month of revenue?
Yeah, I just want to point out, I think that also includes a $75,000 reimbursement from the Eastern Sierra Community Services District, which was intended for the trunk line project, which is not happening. Is that correct?
And also a reduction in sewer miscellaneous. We aren't anticipating 35,000 in revenue from there.
Exactly. That 75,000 was portion of the trunk line that the district will be paying for, and then anticipated revenue if we were taking flows from them. So obviously neither of them are happening.
Okay, if there's no further questions, I'll move on to increases to sewer fund expenses are as follows. Holiday payout, $367, property tax 4, and capital equipment, $38,000.
The 38,000, and I just wanted to, I guess since we're all together, ask, that is for the generator we bought for the PSPS issues that thought we were going to have. And I know we got that grant to cover that and the repeaters, backup stuff for the PD and the fire department. Do we know who's taking the ball with that, of getting those funds back? I know Ashley was running with it, but obviously somebody else hopefully has picked it up.
I will have to look into that further and get back to you guys.
I think Ted might know something about it as well.
Yeah, it actually, yeah, it should be Joe Dell on that, I believe, a grant through the county. Joe?
Yeah, as you guys might as well manage, I haven't taken any time to look at it yet.
Okay, I'd be more than happy to take that and try to figure out, because like I said, we can be reimbursed the full 50,000, because that 38 is the sewer portion and the general fund paid portion of it. So I'd be more than happy to take that, Joe.
Yeah, that would be great. We're looking at the improvements on top of Silver Peak as well. So
Yes. Okay, I'll work with you guys on that.
Okay, I'm going to move on to decreases to the sewer fund expenses. We've had decreases to salaries, full-time, 27,000, benefits, 40,000, recruitment, 12,000, training, 3,000, meetings, travel and conference, 4,000, and capital improvement, 675,000. Does anybody have any questions regarding the decreases?
But those monies are not part of the general fund, correct?
Correct. All right, so the budget impacts to the sewer fund will not exceed its expected revenues with the anticipated decrease in revenues. If there's no further questions, I'll move on to the decreases to water revenue. We are anticipating 111,000 decrease to water revenue. This is a reduction due to possible revenue due to COVID-19. Again, this is me giving worst case scenario, deducting 1 month if nobody paid their bill, and reducing the water miscellaneous by 17,000. Are there any questions regarding the decrease?
It might be worth adding, Jenny, that so far we've seen a reduction of about $6,000 in water and sewer revenue. That's equates to like about 11 restaurants that have asked for relief from their bill. Everyone else has continued to pay them.
All right, thank you. I'll note that. Increases to the water fund expenses are as follows: holiday payout, heat, light, power, advertising and printing, waste fees, IT, totaling $24,225. Are there any questions regarding the increases?
Do we know was this part of the generator in the heat, light, power, or no?
Not good question, Councilman Mahovey. So what happened is, since we've implemented solar, the billing is very sporadic with SDE on those. So we get a bill and then we don't see another bill for sometimes 30 months because it has to be reconciled with Terra Verde and the solar. So we're just anticipating that, because that's what it looks like right now, forecasting. But at this point, we may see no increase there. But we just wanted to be safe than sorry and make that adjustment now, because that's what is showing up in the forecasting.
Okay.
All right, I'll move on to decreases to the water fund expenses are as follows: salaries, full-time, benefits, recruitment, training, meeting and travel conference, property taxes, capital improvement, capital equipment replacement, totaling 519,000. The budget impacts to the water fund are: the water fund will not exceed its expected revenues with anticipated decrease in revenues. Are there any questions regarding the water fund?
Yeah, so Destin, is most of these numbers due to the kind of reconfiguring of your staff?
Correct. Yeah, that is the savings right now, figuring that not filling my position for the last, since the mid-November. And then there's also each of our departments are showing a reduction because we didn't have to do a recruitment for a director. So that's a big one in each. But yeah, most directly would be the public works superintendent vacancy.
Right. Great, good job.
And was the capital improvement, is that also the trunk line?
No, that capital improvement would be the North Sierra Highway water line.
Oh, which is going into next year.
Yeah, exactly. If we don't spend it, we'll still have it, and it just feels prudent at this time to keep that money in the bank at this point.
Okay.
And nothing has moved forward with DWP selling the property over there or anything. Nobody's, the vet would like to see it get in sooner or later, but they haven't heard anything from Water and Power either on the sale.
Dustin, is the sale with DWP to the vet hospital, does it depend on the water line project at all?
Yes, it does. The DWP, their charter says they cannot sell property with water rights. So they need to have an adjacent water system. We've already sent LADWP a letter stating that we will service the property. That's what they needed from us to keep moving forward with their sale.
Okay, so this decision to hold off on it won't affect the potential sale for the vet hospital?
As last when I checked, no, it will not. They just haven't had the time to move forward with the sale yet. So, but they have our commitment letter.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Our recommendation now is for the council to review and discuss the City of Bishop fiscal year 2019-2020 mid-year budget.
So Jenny, what is the bottom line in our deficit, and what's the bottom line in our decreases? How are they lining up together? What do we have a shortfall? I imagine we do. How much?
Sorry. Are you referring to the difference between the projected? It would be 626,000.
So right now we're looking at making up 626,000 that we still need to make up.
Yes, that's on top of the original 625,000 that was in the approved budget.
Okay. Okay.
So this is based on the projections through the end of the fiscal year. And so I'm guessing what you're asking is that we take that 626,478 from our reserves to cover the budget. Is that right?
No, not necessarily. Looking at possible other cuts to expenditures.
Okay. But that is our shortage right now.
All right, through the fiscal year, which ends July 31st.
June 30th.
Oh, June 30th, it ends, it's, okay, New Year starts July 1st. Oh.
Correct.
Yikes.
Yep.
So if we don't want to take it out of general fund, we need to trim $600,000 plus.
Yes.
Right.
So Ron, I know you had some suggestions. Would this be a good time to hear those?
Well, we are still analyzing all the suggestions to see what may work the best. I don't think in 3 months we can cut over $600,000 without decimating the city staff. what I'm asking is that we approve this mid-year budget tonight and allow us more time to come back with recommended additional cuts and using some addition of the general fund balance. If we went with these recommendations tonight for the rest of the fiscal year, it would leave us with a general fund balance of about $1.7 million. So we're not in the hole, but it's, and please understand that we've been very conservative here with these estimates and projections.
Right.
They may not be as bad as we've shown, but we're trying to be as conservative as we should.
It always helps to prepare for the worst. One of the things that I also wanted to point out here is, yeah, we're looking at 626,000 or 625, something like that, right, Jenny? And we expect 200K to come for the playground.
Correct.
So.
And we may have additional, revenue. We may have a different balance for July 1st, 2019, depending on what the audit.
Sure.
There's a couple revenues.
On the playground, the expense may not hit this fiscal year. We're working with the vendor to see if they'll hold off on billing us until after June 30th. So that's a $200,000 difference, which takes it down to 400 and some thousand.
This is Destin. I'd like to add too that I just billed in County approximately $180,000 that we fronted for West J Street. So we'll see another 180,000 come in here relatively soon. And then the remainder of the project, we have very little costs except for water and sewer, but I wanted to note that will be 180,000 back into the general fund as well.
Oh, okay, that's general fund, not water sewer, right?
Yeah, the project was paid general fund.
Oh,
and then,
okay.
Because we had the upfront costs, much like a Caltrans project, where we pay it and then bill them in reimbursement.
I haven't had a chance to review any of the other funds except for general sewer and water. Just because of my short time here. But as soon as I have more information, I will present it regarding the other funds.
Okay.
I have a question. Some people have been batting back and forth some ideas, and one of them we had was to possibly go to a 4-day work week. Is there any estimate of what we would save on personnel if we did that citywide?
That would reduce personnel costs by 20%. Every other Friday off work week would reduce it by 10%.
Okay, do you have some dollar estimates on what 10% of our monthly personnel fees are? Costs?
Well, to be clear, that wouldn't affect the PD, which is half of our personnel cost, at least half of our personnel cost. So
I prefer that we not discuss those specifics. I'm working with Dean on what we can do and can't do within our labor agreements. And we're just not prepared to answer those questions tonight.
No problem. Thank you.
So, Mr. Phillips, it's just a matter of that you don't have those figures now, because that's actually something that I have wanted to just see, there's a lot of cities and towns right now in the state of California, and I imagine everywhere, but I've read about them in California, that they've already enacted a furlough day, and working 4 days a week and taking that reduction. They've already, put that into action. And so is it just a matter we don't have those figures, not even a ballpark figure of what 10%, and then we can easily double that to what 20% would be, not for non, fire and police?
I don't have that number for you at this time.
Okay, do you know when we'd be able to get that number? At least a good educated estimate anyway?
By the next meeting.
I'd like to say that we run the city on a pretty skeleton staff as it is, and we would really have to consider that, revenue would maybe even go down if we were decreasing staffing. And I think we were given the most, worst case scenario in revenue projections from TOT and TUT.
Mm-hmm.
And, hopefully that even if it is the worst case scenario, we still do have a potential, fund balance of $1.7 million. So we're not at a point, I don't think, that we need to be talking about furloughing employees, given that we do run on such a small skeleton crew.
I've done a quick calculation, and my estimate is that for 3 months of having a 5% reduction, say a 10% reduction would be about 120,000. Half of that out for police. That would be about 60,000 to have a 10% reduction for 3 months. It wouldn't be 3 months because we're well into April now. So it'll probably be more in the $20,000 range for the rest of this year.
So, yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with Karen in that our staff is already really overcommitted, and I don't know if, given those numbers, that it really makes sense to furlough them for a day. One question I have is, and I mean, I know Jenny's looking into this, is with regards to our PERS UAL line, which I know in 17, because I'm looking at our budget workshop from last year, and I'm looking at historical data. And I know that in fiscal year 17-18, we only spent like something like $15,000 on PERS UAL. And then we did that one lump payment last year. And at this year, we've been funding it at like $500,000 a year. And I was just wondering, did something in the law change that requires us to contribute a lot more to that? Because I think we can find something like $60,000 in unpaid PERS UAL that's still budgeted for the year.
You already reduced your UAL.
We're looking into that. I've been looking into it more today. But that's going to be probably effective for, if we find a way to do that, it's effective for next year's budget, but probably not for this year's.
Okay.
We did reduce our UAL under administration for 90,000. That was because we did over budget it for this year. And also looking into the future, we have we can either pay the unfunded liability out front, or we can do a monthly plan, which would cost us 24,000 more if we pay the monthly payments. But we wouldn't have to put all our cash out front on July 1st.
Just wanted to clarify that in terms of, even thinking about a day off or a Friday off, my thought is, depending upon where we're at financially and how bad things are, I would prefer that over letting somebody go. So my hope is to keep everybody, because I think we need everybody.
Yeah, I appreciate that, you saying that, Chris, because I also I absolutely want to clarify, I was not recommending that that's an action we take. Those were just figures that I'd like to look at, because there are several cities and government, local governments that have taken that route. So I was interested in the figures. One other figure that I would love to be able to have an idea of, what was our general fund balance in the, let's say, for the past previous 5 years? Just want to look at the progression of that general fund balance. If we could get those figures, Mr. Phillips, please.
I can get those figures for you, but also the general fund balance as of 6/30/2018 was 4.3 million.
Okay. Is that, Jenny, is that before we made that huge payment, PERS payment?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So that's what took it down significantly, of course. Okay. And you don't happen to have it there, say maybe the year 17? I mean, yeah.
No, I do not.
Okay, that's fine. At some point, that would be great if you did that.
I'll look up that information.
Thank you, Jenny.
Jenny or Ron, what is the recommended ratio of fund balance to budget?
There are different ratios that are adopted as a part of fiscal policy. I'm not sure if the city has that kind of policy in place, but I would say it should be in the neighborhood of at least 15%, and maybe more like 20% of your budget that you should have in the fund balance.
We do have that requirement from the state. And I'm not recalling right now exactly what the figure is.
What was the amount of the total budget we approved for this year? Was it right around 11 million?
8.3 million.
Lower. Okay.
$8.3 from the general fund. That was the general, not water and sewer.
It may have been more like 11 with water and sewer. I don't know what the total was.
3.5.
Oh, I know.
It was 12. It was 1.5 from water and 2.0 from sewer. And so that's about 12.1 or 12.2. But the water and sewer funds are okay. So
yes.
Yeah, our discussion is mainly on the general. So, I mean, I do think that it's, I'm really hoping that the situation isn't as dire as been presented. We have identified at least a way to make up for a third of our deficit expenditure since the budget we approved. And I think I'm hopeful that the projections are a little too grim.
Yeah, I agree with you, Stephen. I appreciate you being conservative, Jenny. And I know Ron and the department heads, I really appreciate all the efforts. It's obvious the work that you're doing to try to help out with cutting expenses and spending. And overall, the reason why I'm asking, just separate, a side note, apart from that, about the balances is just, how comfortable can you get? And you may see a significant, a gradual and even a large amount of decrease in the last few years. So I'm just saying, how comfortable do we get with it dropping down to possibly 1.7 million?
Right now. On a little bit of an aside, what's going to be our policy? Let's say we have people that don't pay their water bill after COVID-19. Is there going to be a way to try and recover some of those funds, or do we know about that?
I would think, Chris, that would fall back. There's the SB 998 that we just adopted, and that's the residential, the commercial. We're going to continue to work with people, but those funds will need to be paid, and whether it's we make up a payment plan or something. But yeah, we're not gonna. I don't think we'd entertain the idea of just forgetting about the water bills and starting over again or something.
I would agree, Councilmember Costello, pursuant to the rules that are easing up the requirements to pay and exempting or prohibiting us from collecting if somebody can't pay, make it very specific that it does not forgive that debt. And so these are all temporary mechanisms that are being put in place right now that still require people to pay. And Destin's right on point in terms of we'll just have to play it day by day and figure out what we're going to do in the situation we end up with at that point.
I actually have a question for Chief Stack. So, Ted, I think you're there, right?
He's shaking his head, yes.
Yep, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So, Chief Stack, with looking at the hiring freeze, I don't remember the exact date. If Sergeant Gladding continues on to, if we didn't fill that position, then how is that for your staffing? And could that potentially just mean more overtime, which could actually be, more expensive, or what are your thoughts? Yeah.
Yeah, so generally it takes 6 to 8 weeks to hire a police officer. And I don't know if it's going to take longer now because there are certain requirements that an applicant, whomever that might be, has to go through, and such as the medical and psychological testing and all that. And I don't even know if those places are open. Well, let's just say it takes 6 to 8 weeks. Likewise, if we replace someone, 6 to 8 weeks. So there's a salary savings there. I think to answer your question, if we were to hold off for a while longer, just in case, to save some more money, I do think it could save some money. Yes, overtime could bump up a little bit to cover the slot, but typically an employee is more money than overtime. It isn't sustainable, of course, though, but we're just talking short term.
Right. And then also, Chief Stack, I wanted to ask you, did we recently have the graduation of our, the reserves?
I'm not sure what you mean, graduation.
Did, from the Reserve Academy, did we just have people complete that?
I don't know if where they are. Several months ago, Syracuse was trying to put together another course. I'm not sure where they are on that. Are you suggesting reaching out to level 2, level 3 to assist?
Oh, just if that makes sense to you and you're, to fill in where if we were down an officer or two or whatnot, if that makes sense to you in as far as scheduling.
It may be, but that wouldn't be a quick fix.
Right.
Take 6 to 8 weeks, and then after that, an entry level person has about 16 weeks of training. And the graduates here are level 2 and level 3, not level 1. Level 2 and level 3 cannot work by themselves, and it doesn't mean that they can't be helpful, but it's a long program to get them into the passenger seat of a patrol officer. But we're always looking for good applicants. Level 1s are fantastic because they can go by themselves after the training, like Bob Stevens. It'd be fantastic to get more level 2 and level 3. But there is an expense associated with that, of course.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
I mean, I think the only other thing I want to point out is that even within 20% of an $8.3 million budget is 1.7 million. So we are, I imagine, I think what I'm getting at is that these are the hard times that we are supposed to be dipping into our reserves so that we don't interrupt the services that we have. And so I am comfortable with these mid-year budget adjustments.
Okay. Says a lot to me if you're comfortable, Stephen.
I would agree with Stephen.
Yeah, I'm comfortable with the adjustments, and I think at least the door is open to looking at new things. Where do we stand for 2021 as far as, I know we have looking at sales tax and TOT. We can't do anything with them now. They're going to be what they're going to be, but TOT is going to bounce back. I have a feeling when this is all said and done, people are going to be looking to escape. The sales tax number, where are we at with backfilling the Kmart, and where's our focus at right now as far as for next year?
I think that the efforts of backfilling on hold with not our efforts, but those of others who are working on it. I don't believe Elaine and I have heard since the mid-March when this all began. But that's something that we'll be focusing on for sure as we begin to come out of it. But we anticipate that sales tax will be down somewhat next year compared to last year for sure. Although I've heard people say that High Country Ace Hardware sales are way up and that people may still be buying part of what they were buying at Kmart in the community. So it's hard to know right at the moment.
Get done to do projects while you're stuck at home.
I shared that with Mr. Phillips. I think it was last week that when I was at the Y Road Feed store, and they've been going crazy. They needed a break because their business just went nuts, after Kmart closed, which is wonderful for them. and their revenue at that point in time for the year was actually up 50%. And then I know when I've been at High Country Lumber, that they said that there were items that normally, probably people bought a lot of at Kmart that they could hardly even keep in stock, that people were just, and so that is so encouraging to me to know that a lot of the things that we've lost of being able to purchase at Kmart, people have been looking for other areas locally, local businesses to purchase those things. And it isn't all just going out of town, which you can't really do right now, or just Amazon or whatever. And so that was just a really great encouragement to hear about the local businesses.
So Jen, could you give us the bottom line on the budget adjustment that we need to approve tonight?
The bottom line, you mean the difference from the difference between last year's or the beginning year approved budget and this is 626,000. That's the additional amount we are going to have to expend from the reserves.
And do we need to make a motion and all that on this?
This is the workshop that will be later, if you approve.
Yeah, it's the last item on the agenda.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt, Councilmember Costello, the answer to your question is no. This is a budget workshop just for discussion and direction only. No motion is necessary.
Thank you.
Should we come up maybe at another budget workshop with a ratio of fund balance to budget that we're comfortable with? Just so it, always, we used to have sort of a, what would we call it? Like a sort of discretionary spending line item. I can't remember the term we would use, but like sort of something that we could dip into. But maybe just having like a percentage that we always know feels comfortable moving forward. Maybe not right now, but thinking about it for future budgets.
I agree with that. I think that's very important. But whatever the council decides on as far as a goal for reserves is, as Stephen mentioned, when you get to this kind of a situation is when it's there to dip into to meet needs, and then you build it back when the crisis is over. But yes, we do need to have that, and the city may already have that I'm not familiar with, but we can certainly do more work with you on developing that.
Nice work. That must not have been an easy job to make all those changes. So thank you for the diligence that went into this.
Especially when you consider, when did Jenny start?
Right. When did our administrator start?
Yeah.
Yeah. But we have
Jen, I thought
Robin.
Jen, I thought with less money it would be easier because it'd be less numbers to crunch.
Okay, so does everybody feel that we've discussed what needs to be discussed for our budget workshop at this time?
I do, and I would ask that everybody we should have another budget workshop again soon, and that we put in suggestions or possible ways to have a better budget. So fixes and savings and stuff like that. So more recommendations, I think.
Okay, so would anybody suggest prior to our next April's meeting Do you think we need another workshop before that or before our next April meeting?
Maybe once the audit is done, because we're kind of flying blind until the audit is complete.
Okay. And
Yeah,
what is that projection?
We're working with the auditor now. We are completing some journal entries for him, and we'll be giving him a new balance hopefully this week, and we should know more by then.
Okay, so you'll just keep us informed then, Jenny, when you get, I'm sure you'll be letting us know. And maybe for you, Robin, we'll just tentatively plan on a budget workshop again before next council meeting.
I was gonna say that if we wait a little while, then we might have a better idea of what's going on with COVID and you know, possible time where it might wrap up.
Well, also, if we wait a little while, I mean, isn't it typically in June that we have our next fiscal year budget workshop? So we're talking about 2 months.
I'm good with that if everybody else is.
Or play it by ear and see if we need something else.
Yeah.
If we need to come back to you before that, we certainly will. But I think it's going to take a little more time than 2 weeks to get to a position where we have more information that's meaningful.
Oh, okay, good.
I apologize for that. I'm not, either Jenny or I are comfortable with that necessarily, but that's, I kind of think that's where we are at this point.
Okay, yeah, just keep us up to date and sounds like we'll play it by ear and, you know, maybe the beginning of May, huh?
Yeah, or before.
Okay, so we won't schedule anything now. Anything else regarding our budget workshop?
I guess my only other question is, Destin is going to stay on top of the reimbursement for the generator. Who's currently staying on top of the reimbursement for the playground? And is there anything we can do to expedite that?
Dan is on top of it, and Elaine has been working on it as well.
Okay. Cool. Thanks.
Okay, anybody, anything else for budget workshop conversation? All right, thank you, everybody, so much. Thank you, Jenny.
You're welcome.
Amazing job.
She has done a great job.
Yeah, that's great. So we can take a 10-minute break now, if that's good with everybody, and then we'll be back to resume our council meeting. 10 minutes sound good for everybody?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, Robin, what time do you have?
I have 5:21.
Okay, so 5:30 will be okay?
Okay.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you, everybody. See you right back.
Thank you.
So we're going to pause the meeting.
Mine here, but not on there. So Tony? Oh, hold on. Okay, hold on. Yes, Dean?
Hey, you're still live, so make sure you mute yourself and everybody else right now.
Okay. I have to go on my phone and do that. And I'll mute off.
You're still unmuted.
I know, I have a teleconference phone. I will all right, yeah, I think there's a mute.
Do the best you can.
Right.
You're losing control. Oh.
Can we ask everyone if they need the agenda
You
on?
know what, we're on like 5
Okay.
minutes.
Right.
What were you saying?
See if we can shut the agenda off so that people have smaller screens can see everybody.
The problem is, this is being recorded live on YouTube right now, and so that way people have access to the actual agenda. Otherwise, it's not gonna do that.
Because normally we don't have it. They want.
They're online, you can see it. Just like you can see yours.
Do we have a long agenda?
It's not very long.
Have to go home?
Nice thing is we're going to start before 6. You have department reports.
You are staying with the muted until we're ready.
Since the meeting is advertised for 4 PM, we can continue on with the rest of the agenda and don't have to wait till 6.
Everybody back?
Okay.
Is everybody back?
Yep, I think so. I think so.
I think I hear chickens again. I think it's chickens, not on my end.
Well, I won't deny it. They're legal chickens, sir. Okay, we ready to resume?
5:34.
Okay, we will move on then to our item number 7 for department head reports and start with Fire Chief Joe Dell.
You accept me in the meeting again? I'm trying to see if it'll work.
Wait, can you close the door?
Good evening, everyone. How are you?
Good. How's it going?
Good, good. So essentially, since we declared the emergency on March 17th, the firefighters have really stepped up. We've had 24 calls and 9 of them have been fires. The captains have been signed as the duty chief officers, are now taking turns covering as I've moved over to the EOC full time. We've closed the fire stations and implemented social distancing and a mask policy. You should note that all our firefighters are always wearing a mask when in touch with other people doing fire department business. After each call, there's an extensive cleaning procedure, and there's a sign-up list for firefighters that are regularly going into the fire stations and decontaminating. The members have assisted the EOC by visiting the open essential businesses and making sure that the health officers mandated posting was up, and then they gave them copies of the posting. These postings had important employee information on them. It should in case anybody get contaminated. And then the members have been helping unload and distribute supplies. I've had members traveling to both Nevada and Mammoth to help secure or deliver supplies. And then we have members assisting Health and Human Services by delivery of food and supplies to COVID positive patients. Other than that, we're ready in kind of reserve status. There's a whole bunch of us that are willing to help out in case things get worse. We're being kind of held back in case that happens. And that's about all that's happening at the fire station right now.
Sounds like a lot. That's great. Joe, I didn't know that they were doing all that. That's wonderful.
Yeah, they've stepped up big.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And I know you've been super busy yourself.
Yeah, I've been doing pretty much all EOC stuff, and then trying to make sure that the timely matters of the fire department don't slip through the cracks.
Right. Hey, anybody have any questions for Joe Dell at all? Comments? Okay, we'll move on to, thank you, Joe. We'll move on to Police Chief Ted Steck.
Hi, good evening, Mayor and council members. Mayor, could you give me a thumbs up to make sure you can hear me? Excellent, thanks. We continue to take precautions to keep our employees and the public safe. We've had a number of calls for service, however, such as domestic violence, theft type calls, quite a few vandalisms, trespassing, drunken public, a few traffic accidents along the way, including a hit and run. I know that most folks are inside and may not see us out, but rest assured we're on duty and ready to assist. Then last, just a big shout out, please, when you can, to the Bishop PD 911 dispatchers and all other public safety dispatchers, as this week is the Dispatcher Appreciation Week. We normally do quite a few nice things for them, and it'll just have to be postponed for a while and until this COVID-19 thing passes. But we've already done our social media push. Jessica's, of course, very good at that. And dispatchers are right in there with her on it. So I'd just like to say that I'm proud of all of them. They're doing such a fantastic job. And just wonderful people, and we're very lucky to have them. So next time you have a moment, tell them thank you. That'd be great. And that's all I have, unless you have any questions for me.
Okay, anybody have any comments or questions? For Ted? All righty, thank you very much. We'll move on to Public Works Director, Destin Deshawn.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Just wanted to quickly update you. We started the Willow Rose Ramps project today. That's with SB1 funding. Should last about somewhere between 5 to 8 days, just depending on how fast everything goes. But we're going to, you'll see the closure of the intersection of Willow and Rose, which right now with what's going on is a perfect timing to be doing that work. By closing the intersection, allow the contractor to be in and out of there in half the amount of time as trying to do half and then working with traffic at the same time. I got a request from the National Rural Water Administration last week. They're asking to know what are the impacts to our particular water system as far as revenue and additional costs. So that's good to let you all know that they are trying to obviously put together something to bring maybe to the to DC to look for funding to cover these losses. And I guess lastly, a lot of time spent with Caltrans on webinars on how to deliver projects and meet timely use of funds things. It sounds like they're extending most all deadlines by up to 20 months right now, which is great news with the shutdown and all the different consultants that are not, their offices are closed right now. But other than that, that's all I have right now.
That is good news. That's great.
Yeah.
Anything for Destin? Okay, we'll move on to Community Services Manager, Dan McElroy.
Good evening, everyone. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. Robin, can you hear me? Thank you. Once again, good evening. Staff has been working timelessly on trying to get our refunds done for our after-school program and our KIND program. So those have gone out and we're about to have those wrapped up. Also working, Brittany is on Facebook doing community challenges. As you guys have seen, the community challenge to support local businesses and the golden tickets have been starting to go out and we're starting to deliver prizes to those winners as well. At City Hall, Waylon and Sam have worked on the front of City Hall, redoing the paint around the trim in the front of the building, which looks great. And Ron picked a great color. So thank you. We're also awaiting the arrival of the flower baskets for Main Street and of course the downtown corridor, Warren Street included. In the parks, we've begun basically all of our work at the pool. Even though the pool will not be open to the public for an indeterminate amount of time, we're gonna go ahead and pull the covers and make sure that the water and everything inside the pool is basically up to code, keep our pH levels and everything right so that we don't cause any damage to the surfacing of the pool with having corrosive water in the pool. Other than that, it's just general park maintenance. A lot of rain and a lot of fertilizer makes a lot of grass. So we're mowing a lot. So that's all I have tonight. If you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dan. Anybody have any questions or comments for Dan?
Nope.
Nope. Okay, then we will move on to our city administrator, Ron Phillips. Sorry, the agenda got moved, Ron. I didn't see that. To Mr. Phillips, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the council. Good to meet with you tonight, even under these circumstances. I don't think I've mentioned in a previous report that we sent layoff letters to 26 part-time employees of the city, those that were working in our after-school programs, the KIND program, crossing guards, which allows them to apply for if there's somebody, Robin, that you typing, can you mute your last Friday, Jenny responded to a League of California Cities survey. They're putting together information on how this COVID crisis is affecting everybody's revenue. And you can find that and send it in. So our information is a part of that pool of information that they can use in speaking to the state and federal governments about how to further assist local governments with facing this problem. I've been working on a more limited basis with the EOC. And, Joe's been doing a yeoman's work on logistics for the EOC. Still having a Zoom call twice a day. Effort with county health department and the county folks and us in dealing with the issues surrounding the COVID crisis. It's going very well, and we're pleased that so far the cases is 12 and has not gone up from that in the last few days. So we hope that people continue to observe the rules of social distancing and cleanliness and so on, so that we can try to stop this virus in our community. One part of that effort is that we've been working on trying to find a place for, at least a temporary place for parking, safe parking for those that need not vehicles. And we came up with a small Kmart as a place that we think would work well for that. The owners of the Kmart, the small Kmart, have agreed. They're working on an agreement with IMACA for the use of that space, and the last I heard today, their attorneys were still reviewing it, so we're not to a final agreement, but I'm hopeful and confident that we will get there. And Amaka will be providing portable toilets and cleansing stations there. There will have a monitor on site to check people in and be sure things are going well. And if necessary, we have agreed to allow them to use the showers at those facilities. So we hope that that soon is something that can be put into place. That's all that I have.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Just to let everyone know, if you have any background noise, like chickens, or typing, it cuts out the microphone of who's speaking. So you just have to remember to unmute yourself back and forth anyway. We'll figure it all out. Any comments or questions for Mr. Phillips? Anybody? Nope. Okay, then we'll move on to our item number 8 on the agenda is our Northern Inyo Hospital quarterly update. Has everybody had a chance, council members had a chance to read the update from the hospital? Yes? Anybody have any questions or comments? Any kind of comment you want to make on it?
No.
Nope. Okay, we'll move on to consent calendar then. And the matters under the consent calendar are considered routine. So we act on them by one motion. And do we have any comments that have come in at all or questions, Robin, from the public?
No comments received.
Okay.
Justin, thanks for getting the total of the, what's it called? The permits that was collected on the report as well. Appreciate that.
You're welcome. Michelle was able to easily add it.
Lots of solar parking.
So that number will be inflated by the DWP solar projects going on for sure for that last month.
Yeah, that's a lot of solar they're putting in. That's great.
Yeah.
I will make a motion that we accept the consent calendar as is.
I'll second that.
Okay, thank you. And the vote, please.
Councilmember Mohovi,
Yes.
Councilmember Ellis,
Yes.
Councilmember Schwartz,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Costello,
Yes.
Mayor Smith.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes 5-0.
Okay, thank you. Item number 10 is we're having a public hearing on proposed resolution amending and restating certain fees and charges for city services. Mr. Phillips?
Or I could speak to it if you'd like.
I'll turn it to Robin to speak to this. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, so each year all departments are requested to review fees and charges to determine if they cover the full cost reasonably borne for providing those services. As part of the process, holding a public hearing and providing proposed changes to the public are required by Chapter 3.22 of the Bishop Municipal Code. Although there were no proposed changes for fiscal year 2021 by staff, we still need to approve our fiscal year 2021 fees and charges via resolution. As for budget impacts, there are no budget impacts since the proposed fees and charges for fiscal year 2021 will remain the same as the prior year's fees and charges, unless otherwise dictated by state or federal law. The proposed fiscal year 2021 fees and charges will remain the same and will become effective July 1, 2020. City Attorney Pucci has reviewed this item and finds that the recommended action complies with the law. If you have any questions for me, I'm happy to address them. Otherwise, my recommendation is as follows. After the mayor opens the public hearing, council will review the information and holds the public hearing to hear and consider public input on amending and restating certain fees and charges for the city services. Council will make a motion to close the public hearing once all comments from the public have been received. That's all I have. And currently, I have no public comment, Mayor. Oh, you're muted, Laura.
Thank you, Robin. We'll go ahead and open the public hearing.
And no public comments are made.
Okay,
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll second that motion.
okay, great. Then the vote, please, Robin?
Councilmember Mahovey,
Yes.
Councilmember Ellis,
Yes.
Councilmember Schwartz,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Costello,
Yes.
Mayor Smith.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes 5-0.
Alrighty, thank you very much. On to new business. Item A is a resolution, designation of applicant's agent resolution for non-state agencies. That's going to our finance department.
Yes, Jenny, prepared to speak to this.
Yes, we would like to submit a request for public assistance on behalf of the City of Bishop for receiving Federal Emergency Management Agency and California Disaster Assistance Act reimbursement for eligible expenses due to the coronavirus. Per the guidelines, the city is required to submit a current resolution appointing the authorized agents. The city has been directly impacted by COVID-19 outbreak. We are currently tracking expenses, employees' time, and revenue loss during the state of emergency. The request for public assistance is the first step to expense recovery and is due on April 17th. At this time, we will be able to request reimbursement for overtime hours related to the event and any expense. The budget impacts or any recovered costs for overtime and expenses regarding the COVID-19 outbreak will assist with any budget losses. The city attorney has reviewed this item and finds that the recommended action complies with the law. And we are recommending that City Council approve the proposed resolution by title only, which authorizes the city administrator and the Director of Emergency Services as the authorized agents for the State of California Governor's Office of Emergency Services. And approve the proposed cover letter to be signed by the city clerk.
Okay, great. Anybody have any questions or comments on this item?
What kind of, just a quick question, what kind of items can we get reimbursement from the state for?
It will mainly be overtime hours and some supplies for sanitizing and any COVID related expenses. I think Joe purchased some protective equipment. We're really not gonna get that much back.
As we know, anything helps, so.
Yes, it does.
Wasn't there a line in there about loss of revenue you could be compensated for?
Not under this.
Okay.
Would have been nice.
Yes, it would have.
Yeah, maybe they'll come up with one of those.
Yes.
Okay, anybody else? Anything, any other questions or comments for Jenny? Did we receive any comments, Robin?
No public comments received.
Okay, anyone care to make a motion, please?
Sure. I'll make a motion that we approve the proposed resolution by title only, which authorizes the city administrator and the director of emergency services as the authorized agents for the state of California Governor's Office of Emergency Services, and to approve the proposed cover letter to be signed by the city clerk.
I'll second that motion.
Thanks, guys, and the vote, please.
Designation of applicants, agent resolution for non-state agencies. Councilmember Mahoney,
Yes.
Councilmember Ellis,
Yes.
Councilmember Schwartz,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Costello,
Yes.
Mayor Smith.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you. On to item B, another resolution, Senate Bill 1 SB 1, Road Repair and Accountability Act of 2017, City of Bishop project list and associated resolution. That goes to you, Destin.
Yes, it does. Thank you. Good evening again, council. So Senate Bill 1 or SB 1, also known as the Road Repair and Accountability Act of 2017, was intended to address the significant multimodal transportation funding shortfalls statewide. SB 1 funds come from the Road Maintenance and Rehabilitation Account, RMRA, make it simple. The city, and this paragraph could change, and I have to apologize, it was too late to change it. The city's expected revenue is around $73,000. Of course, gas tax is generated off of selling gas and the price of gasoline. So those numbers could change and probably will change before we receive these checks monthly. So we'll get a good idea probably pretty early in July what it's going to look like. The SB 1 funding is in addition to the approximately $103,000 of highway users tax account, or the HUDA fund. The city will receive this also as well, and we have received it in the past. SB 1 includes accountability and transparency provisions intended to ensure the funds collected under SB 1 for road work are used for that purpose. One provision is that to receive the SB 1 funds, the city must transmit a list of projects is it intended to fund with SB 1 funding each year to the California Transportation Commission. The deadline to submit this list of projects for the fiscal year 2021 is May 1st. A list of proposed projects eligible for SB 1 is included in the attached resolution. Currently, right now, the CTC it's out for a vote. It went out for a vote today to extend this deadline to either June 30th or July 31st. We have ours ready to go, which many cities do. And by doing what we're doing tonight, we'll be able to start receiving our funds in July. If we wait until the July 31st deadline, we won't see money until November. So that'll leave us guessing a lot longer of what this number may be. So with that being said, the League of California Cities has been very involved in the passage of SB 1 and helping cities comply with the new law once it's passed and signed. They've provided an example resolution and suggest the city pass a similar resolution, including a project list for transmittal to the California Transportation Commission. I have worked with, again, I'm never afraid to make friends with people that know stuff, and in Sacramento. So I've ran our resolution, our project list, and this item through them and had it approved prior to doing this, so there wouldn't be any issues when we actually submit it. The attached resolution has been prepared based on the league's template. The resolution includes an attached list with the proposed projects and other project information required by the state. SB 1 funding and the proposed project list will be incorporated into the 2021 fiscal year budget to the extent possible. Legal review, City Attorney Pucci has reviewed the item and finds the recommended action complies with the law. And I'd like to add that, this list is very short and to the point. It's a needed project, and the park, it's the ball field along Park Avenue there on the east side of the ball field where where the parking lot keeps going, and the kids walk in the middle of the street right now to get to swim lessons, do all that. They did not receive their grant funding. It is applicable to SB1 funding, so that seemed like the greater need for the city. Also note on the list that I've got made sure it was something that would be approved by the CTC. If we have a budget shortfall to pay for the Spruce Hanby sidewalk project, this revenue could be used to supplement that funding as well, so that we can build that project in its entirety. So I added it onto the list late. So recommended council consideration to approve the resolution adopting the list of projects funded by SB1, the Road Maintenance and Rehabilitation Act by title only.
Okay, thank you, Destin. Any comments or questions for Destin, council?
So Destin, I'm assuming that we have to be able to justify spending the whole amount, right? And so that's why the second item is on there without a dollar amount attached to it. And since the first one is less than the 73.
Yes, exactly. This is the very transparent, this SB1 money, and there's quarterly reporting done. So if we were to spend money, say we spent $38,000 of it on the Spruce Hanby sidewalk project, we still have some remaining funds from last year that I'm trying to honestly kind of hold on to right now because of the Spruce Hanby project. We're trying to get the nest of it. You know, we got the Chamberlain drainage project done, and then the Willow Rose project done that's started right now that was high on the list. So yeah, it's a fluid thing. As long as you can account for it and you report it, as long as it's spent on, especially I'm sorry, now I'm just drawing a blank totally, RMRA funds, as long as we can account for them in actual work that was done, then they can change along the way.
Sure. And I'm just going to assume that was a typo on the deadline and that it's May 1st of 2020.
No, it is a deadline. It was May 1st.
2019.
Did I?
Oh, so this is, you did.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I apologize for that.
No worries.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds good to me.
Yeah. Okay, anything else for Destin on this item? Any public comment, Robin?
No public comments received.
Mayor,
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we approve the resolution adopting the list of projects funded by SB1, the Road Maintenance and Rehabilitation Act, by title only.
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. And the vote, please, Robin?
A resolution of the City of Bishop, State of California, adopting a list of projects funded by SB1, the Road Maintenance and Accountability Act. And we have Councilmember Mahovey,
Yes.
Councilmember Ellis,
Yes.
Councilmember Schwartz,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Costello,
Yes.
Mayor Smith.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes 5-0.
All righty, moving on to item C, Bishop Area Wastewater Authority Joint Exercise of Powers Agreement. Back to you, Destin.
Yeah, back to me. So here's the long-awaited work of Councilman Mahovey and Councilman Costello and myself and Ron. The City of Bishop and the Eastern Sierra Community Service District have been working collaboratively to look at the possibility of forming a joint powers authority over the past several months. Both parties' legal counsel has been involved. After approximately 4 months of collaboration with the district, the ad hoc committee has a final agreement for both City Council and the Eastern Sierra Community Service District Board to review and potentially approve. If this agreement is executed, City Council will need to appoint 2 members of the council to sit on the new authority board. Budget impacts will be determined in the following JPA meetings during the budgetary process, which will obviously come to a full council before we would approve anything at the Joint Powers Authority. I'd like to add that, this is something that's 10 years in the making. And I actually received a phone call from Jay Cass, who is the director at Lahontan, the executive director at Lahontan. He's very anxious to see this happen, since it has been, we've almost made it happen, then we stopped, and almost for nearly 10 years now. So he would like to, or not like to, he's really hoping to see this done so he can present this at his state board meeting this week. Council, City Attorney Pucci has reviewed this item and finds the recommended action applies with the law. Public Works asks that you approve the execution of the Bishop Area Wastewater Authority Joint Exercise of Powers Agreement between the City of Bishop and the Eastern Sierra Community Service District, and appoint 2 members of the City Council to serve on the board of the newly formed Bishop Area Wastewater Authority.
Okay, great. Thanks, Dustin. Any comments or questions for Dustin, Council?
I just wanted to comment that though I was present at all the beginning meetings, I missed the last couple due to travel, and wanted to give Stephen credit for being there for all the nitty-gritty stuff. Thank him for that.
Madam Mayor, if I might.
Yes.
Just a quick clarification, not to correct anything Destin said, because everything he said was 100% correct. Just on the agenda for public's consumption, it does indicate an approval of a joint powers agreement. And I would just clarify for council that they are authorizing the city to enter into more than simply just a joint powers agreement. It's similar to the fire agreement. They are actually authorizing a joint an entrance into a joint powers authority. So it's just a really technical, nerdy, legal discrepancy, but I wanted to put it out there in case we ever got questioned that we never put it out there for that. So thank you.
Thank you, Dean.
Thank you. We love your technical, nerdy, legal stuff.
Legalese.
Yes. Any comments from the public, Robin?
No comments received.
Thank you. Anything else from council?
I mean, I just want to point out like how it was clearly spelled out in the authority what the purpose is. We made sure to make it really understandable. And one of the main aspects of this is so that we can start working together or even further and do the whole economies of scales. Like in particular, we both apparently are held to the, like Lahontan doesn't distinguish between City of Bishop treatment plant and the Eastern Sierra Community Services District. And so like if one of us were to be fined, both of us would be. And so this actually just makes it so that the JPA is the one responsible for all of that. And it has all of that collaboration together, and it'll make it so that, and I also want to point out that I believe Department of LADWP has seen this agreement, and they think that this is an authority that they would be able to do a land transfer to, so that we could do the irrigation project to help improve or to maintain the groundwater quality that we have there.
Okay.
This really is something that should have happened a long time ago, and I'm really pleased to see it coming together for us to have this kind of cooperation and work together on these sewer plants that are within view of each other and have been working independently for so long. But I'm looking forward to having this cooperation. It's a good thing.
Yes, definitely. Okay, anything else from council? Anybody care to make a motion, please? Excuse me, Dean.
I will.
Sorry, Stephen. Do we need to pick the two people now or after we make the motion to approve?
I would recommend that you make the motion to approve it, go through with that vote, and then select the members.
Okay,
All right.
perfect.
I'll make a motion to approve the execution of the Bishop Area Wastewater Authority Joint Exercise of Powers Agreement between the City of Bishop and the Eastern Sierra Community Services District.
I'll
I'll second that motion.
3 seconds.
Okay, I got Mayor Pro Tem Costello seconding.
Okay, great. And the vote, please.
Councilmember Mahovey,
Yes.
Councilmember Ellis,
Yep.
Councilmember Schwartz,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Costello,
Yes.
Mayor Smith.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you,
Okay,
Council.
I mean, in my thinking, do the two gentlemen that have been doing the work would like to continue? Unless somebody else has a dire desire to step up. How do you guys feel about staying on?
I'm happy to stay on.
Yeah, unless somebody else really has a burning desire, I'm good to stay on as well.
Okay.
I would, yeah, and I would also, yeah, I think that's fine. I would also, the only other thing I was going to say is that since there is going to be a lot of involvement with DWP, if we did have anybody else do it, it shouldn't be Jim.
Okay. So Karen, do you have a burning desire to serve on this?
No, I think Stephen and Chris are a great fit.
Okay, I'm good with that also. Very good with it. And happy for you guys. Karen and I both serve on the fire JPA, so kind of nice to spread it around, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, do we need a motion for that or just appointing the two, Dean?
Technically not, but it also doesn't hurt. So either way you want to do it, Madam Mayor.
Okay, I'm good with the appointing of the two if council is. Council?
Good either way.
That's fine with me, just appointing the two.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, thanks you guys.
All right, thank you guys so much for being willing to do that. And now we'll move on to our last item, D, adopt City of Bishop approved budget adjustments for fiscal year 2019, 2020. Back to you, Jenny, right?
Yes. Okay, so annually, the City Council conducts a final review of the current fiscal year budget and considers requested amendments. On April 13th, 2020, these adjustments were reviewed and approved by City Council. We are just asking you to approve the adjustments we discussed earlier today in the workshop.
Okay, thank you. Council, any other further discussion on the budget adjustments?
So just
Robin,
to be,
anything? Sorry.
just to be finally clear that that amount that you told us as the difference, that will be taken from our reserves to cover this amended budget. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
But hopefully not that much, right?
Hopefully.
Hopefully. Okay, anything else from council? Robin, did we receive any comments?
No public comments made.
Okay, anybody care to make a motion, please?
I'll make a motion to adopt the approved budget adjustments for the 2019-2020 fiscal year as presented.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, thank you. And the vote, please?
Councilmember Mahovey,
Yes.
Councilmember Ellis,
Yes.
Councilmember Schwartz,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Costello,
Yes.
Mayor Smith.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes 5-0.
All right, thank you. Future agenda items. We all know a lot of what we're going to be doing in the future, but anything else?
I have nothing to add at this point.
Anybody?
No, not right now.
Karen, Jim, anything?
Nothing.
I'm good.
We're all good. Okay. How about council and committee reports? We'll start with you, Jim. Do you have anything?
No, Easter didn't feel like Easter. It's kind of weird. This COVID and being stuck at home is kind of a weird feeling for the whole family. So my hat's off to everyone who's been out in the public doing what they have to do to get the city through there and get everyone through it. So great job. I'm stuck at home this week just because they're moving shifts around, and it's kind of weird. It's hard to be at home. So, but thank you guys.
All righty. How about Karen, anything?
Yes, I had a ESTA meeting, and some updates from that is that they are looking at some fare changes for the Reds Meadow shuttle, and then from the Bridgeport to Carson City shuttle, just an increase in fares by a couple bucks. ESTA is working with the Forest Service right now regarding the Bishop Creek shuttle, and the Forest Service is planning on paving the road up to South Lake and the parking areas. So the parking and the road is going to be severely impacted this summer. So they're thinking about adding an additional shuttle. Right now there's one in the morning and one in the afternoon, and they might stick one in the middle of the day. And then there was a request from folks in north of Mammoth to have a shuttle that goes from Walker to Mammoth Lakes, just to get essential services done and taken care of in Mammoth Lakes. And so they are considering a shuttle from Walker to Mammoth. I also had a Eastern Sierra Recreation Collaborative meeting, and that was a combination of a lot of the federal land managers, and they were just updating us on their responses to COVID and different closures that they're doing. And amid this time, they're rapidly preparing for a big fire season. So they're kind of in the midst of that while dealing with COVID. And that concludes the two meetings I went to. Other than that, you know, the community, Bishop, I just have been so impressed and overwhelmed with like the support that I'm seeing through social media and how our community is rallying around the businesses. I have felt support myself. Just the fact that our case numbers for COVID are low, the social distancing is really working, and I'm really impressed and proud of my community. And I don't know about you guys, but right now, sort of like the poll is starting to, it's been 4 weeks and it's starting to kind of like a diet where you're thinking, well, maybe we could get together, or maybe we could do this, and kind of just thinking of justifying easing up on some of the things. And I just urge everyone to reconsider those urges, because I know I'm feeling them. And, you know, we have maybe another 4 weeks ahead of us, and let's stay strong.
All righty. Thank you, Karen. Chris, you have anything?
We do have a LTC meeting coming up this week. Stephen and I, OBGA their last meeting was canceled, and haven't got any new information about a scheduled one. It's been actually nice to be at home. I have all my family's home, so we're sheltering together, but it's been interesting to continue to be a pastor, and they've had to go to online services, and so we're using you know, the social media platforms to do that. And it's actually been good. We've actually had quite a few people, former members who have moved out of town who watch our services now and are happy to kind of be back and see what's going on. But it's been challenging as well. More people are attending services, but less people are giving. So we'll have to face that challenge like everybody else. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Stephen, you have anything?
No, there haven't been any meetings, and yeah, we'll be going virtually to the LTC meeting this week. And I really wanted to just echo what Karen was saying, how I'm just extremely impressed by our community. It does seem from all the data we've been looking at, the social distancing measures that we've had have been extremely effective. Our hospital, knock on wood, is not overwhelmed, and we, especially in the area and in the whole state, we've seen a lot of we've seen the new cases starting to go down, which is really nice on a daily basis. And to emphasize what Karen was saying, yes, we have to stick with it for just a little bit longer. And at the same time, I just want to encourage people not to go hike up in the mountains and try to ski down them and set off avalanches and have search and rescue called on you, which happened this weekend. Because those people the search and rescue people are having to make a decision as to whether they're going to go put their lives in danger and break a lot of the stay-at-home orders to help you on your fun-seeking adventure. So yeah, the conditions out on the mountains are still very dangerous, and we really should be staying at home just for a few more weeks, hopefully. So.
All righty, thank you very much. Yeah, it's unprecedented what we're going through, and especially, in dealing with it with all the different agencies. It's been absolutely amazing to me to see the cooperation that has taken place between all of our agencies throughout our area, throughout the Eastern Sierra, and including, into Mono County, and just everything that has been taking place and how great we've been working together. And then the sacrifice and the commitment from our residents in, going along with the social distancing and our grade. You probably heard on the news today, if you didn't, Bradford Evans was saying our mobility, as getting out and about, went from an F last week and we got a B this week, which is really great. So overall in Inyo County, I grade a B now for mobility, meaning that more and more of us we're actually improved and only venturing out when we absolutely have to. And it has been difficult, but it's amazing. And I just would like to remind everybody that pretty soon we are going to be having the stimulus. A lot of people are going to be receiving the stimulus money into their bank accounts. And I'd really like you to think about spending that money locally. The idea of it is to turn it into the economy and to stimulate the economy. That's what you're receiving it for. And it would be great that the bulk of that, majority of that, go into our local economy. And I just think the program that Community Services came up with the golden ticket, that kind of thing, is just a really fun thing. I know a lot of people have been enjoying it and encouraging people to do the takeout for a lot of the restaurants that are still doing that. I haven't won any golden tickets yet, but I'll keep trying. And just thank everybody for, if you've been viewing the meeting. I know a lot of you have been emailing us and contacting us. We're still available just because we can't meet together. So let us know when you have comments and questions at any time, and to the city also. So thank you very much, and we will adjourn this evening's meeting until April 27th, 2020. Thank you very much.
Yay!